My name is Swangile Tipiri. I am 29 years old, turning 30. Yes! And I am a performing artist, I'm a creative entrepreneur, a swimming instructor, and an HR consultant.
Moto Chisha. I am 36 years old. I am National IT and Technical Manager.
My name's Natasha. I'm 26 years old and I am a doctor.
Lorenzo Claxton. I am a marketing manager and I am 25 years old.
Rumbani Ndlovu. I am 31, turning 32 next year. Yes. I am an editor and graphic designer at Spring TV.
I identify as black.
That's a tricky question. I would identify as both colored and black because that term essentially just sticks in Africa, but globally, I am a black woman.
I identify as black.
I identify myself as mixed ethnicity. I come from a multicultural background. Locally, I think we relate to that as being colored, although it's not exactly an internationally accepted term, but that's what we recognize it as here.
I used to identify as really light until I met really light people. So now more, I think the best word I can use is caramel. Like somewhere in between.
I'm hoping to walk away more knowledgeable and more confident to be able to launch these necessary conversations in a somewhat effort to break down the divide we have in our community.
Illumination and exposition on my cultural background and how it relates to modern Zambian society. And ultimately, I'm hoping for a lot more adhesion and amalgamation of different cultures in our society right now.
I expect it to be eye-opening, definitely not too exciting in the physical activity, but very eye-opening, very informative, educative when it comes to people's experiences.
To give the conversation of colorism a Zambian voice, and also just to, I guess, highlight the conversations that I have in my head and that I have with my family, which I think are really dope conversations that need to be heard out loud.
The feeling around color, how other people feel about the shade of their skin, because I feel very differently. And because I don't consider people via their containers, but what they contain. So I'd like to see what their life is like, living in dark skin, living in light skin.
First question, and I think we're going to start in the middle with Rumbani. Wow. So when did you first realize that you were a different shade or race, and how did this impact your interactions with other people?
First time I realized I was a little different was when I was 6 or 7, roughly around that age. My siblings made fun of me, not just my immediate siblings, but my cousins too. I was the tomato of the family, at least that's one of the names I was called. Tomato, Zaelo, and everything that came with that. I think my interactions with other people were changed in the fact that I became insecure about how I looked. I felt like being light was a target on my back and it was more of a burden than anything else. I think it only changed maybe when I was 17 or 18, when I started to get more confident in my own skin, where it didn't bother me anymore. I think one of the things that happened was developed a thick skin, but a soft heart. Because thick skin, very few things get to me now. But I feel for other people who go through stuff that I've gone through.
So I first realized I was different when basically happened in primary school. I would get referred to as the brown person, and it sort of stuck to the point where everywhere I went, that was what I was being referred to as, the brown person. And it impacted my interactions with other people in the sense that, as opposed to Rumbani, it made me very sensitive. I did not develop thick skin. I easily got offended from that point onwards, and it's still something I'm struggling with today.
So it is interesting here for me because this is where privilege basically gets to come in. Because it's like being born in Rome as a Roman. It's the usual. I don't even think I've had a moment when I realized that I was a shade, because being born in Zambia and being surrounded by fellow dark-skinned, people, if I do run into Rumbani, it's just another guy that is differently colored from me, but it's not something that people made it a point to make it known, my skin tone. It was just, oh, that's Motto. It's not Motto, the dark-skinned guy or the light-skinned guy. It's just me. So kind of is a privilege to sit here then and hear people talk about their experiences, and yet I didn't really have those experiences growing up because I've just been.
Similar to Motto, because I am the majority, it hasn't been as distinct, but I have been exposed to it. And the first time I would say I was exposed to where I realized, okay, I'm different here, is I had this friend who is white. And we were literally born 2 weeks apart. Our mothers and fathers knew each other. So we grew up together and played together. And then there was a time when this friend had their friends who looked more like him over. And this was, I think I was under 6, something like that, right? And suddenly I was excommunicated and I felt it. And there was just this, it's funny, I was having this conversation with my sister because we had such a love relationship, me and this friend of mine, that I was so angry and I slapped him. At like under 5, I knew that was not okay, that happened. And he was so apologetic about it. So I would say that was the first time I felt it. And then also because I'm a swimmer and swimming is more of a white person's world, I felt it then at different moments of my life. Especially when I was in South Africa, I felt it there.
Realistically, I think that from a very early age, we're all pretty much able to differentiate ourselves from everything else. I mean, the moment that we start to develop a sense of self-awareness and self-identity, you're able to figure out, okay, I don't look the same as everybody else, right? And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I mean, early on, growing up as early as in grade school, I met friends that to this day are still my best of friends, and I don't even call them friends, I call them family, right? And so I think how it tended to affect the way that I deal with other people is when the labels start getting attached. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that as well, right? The moment that you start hearing Omwenye or Muzungu, right? Then all of a sudden you're just like, it's such a confusing thing, especially in this part of the world, right? Because this is the country that you know. These are the people that you know. You don't know anything else, right? Your passport says that you're Zambian, but all of a sudden you feel a little detached from everybody. And so at such an impressionable age, you do tend to approach relationships with a lot more caution.
Why should I feel proud about my shade of skin?
It is trendy to be black.
Lighter was more beautiful.
It's who I am. I can't change anything about myself.
Because I have a lighter skin color than anybody else.
People who choose to not see color.
In Zambia, you do get ostracized for being a little different.
This would not be me.
Is what it is.